Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Crizzy here, and in tonight's movie review, I'm going to be doing a movie review on this really old movie that came out in 1977, and it's also an independent sketch comedy as well that I just got done watching on Peacock tonight, and that's going to be on the Kentucky Fried Movie. Yeah, it kind of sounds like KFM, which kind of sounds like KFC. Finger licking good. But anyway, so basically, what the Kentucky Fried Movie's about, the movie's basically played out as a sketch comedy film where it's basically like almost like a clip show, like a montage of sketches, but that's kind of almost like one of those like Saturday Night Live wannabes, and it's kind of like that a little bit. But let me explain right here by reading it off of the back of the DVD here. From the director of Animal House and the creators of Airplane and The Naked Gun comes the original madcap, most out-of-control spoof of all time. The one that started it all, the Kentucky Fried Movie, featuring a cast of more than a few, but less than a lot. This insane collection of comedy skits includes such now famous sketches as the Kung Fu parody, A Fistful of Yen, and the legendary Catholic schoolgirls in Trouble. Enjoy the feature of moviegoing with the feel around theater experience. See notable and highly respected actor Donald Sutherland as the clumsiest waiter in motion picture history. Watch such characters as Cleopatra Schwartz and Big Jim Slade tickle your funny bone until it has to be removed surgically. Directed by John Landis and written by Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker, and featuring appearances by ex-James Bond, George Lazenby, and the Incredible Hulk star Bill Bixby, the Kentucky Fried Movie is the cult classic you've been waiting for. It's a virtual guarantee, not an actual guarantee, that you will not find another film with as many side-splitting moments of pure, unadulterated hilarity as the Kentucky Fried Movie. Yeah. And the movie's rated R, and the runtime is it's a very short movie. It's like 83 minutes. So yeah, I just got this DVD recently, and of course, this DVD is released by Anchor Bay Entertainment, which was the same home video company that released the Thomas the Tank Engine videos on both DVD and VHS. Anchor Bay Entertainment also released like some low budget independent horror films and slasher films that were released by Anchor Bay Entertainment. I also have a rare Anchor Bay Entertainment DVD release of The Flamingo Kid. And yeah, because I really liked The Flamingo Kid when I first watched it. But as for the Kentucky Fried Movie, since I just got done watching it off of Peacock tonight, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the Kentucky Fried Movie. I think it's actually a pretty funny movie. I actually think it's a pretty good movie, which came out in 1977. And it basically pokes fun at some movie scenes at the time before this movie was made. It basically pokes fun at vintage movies, including TV commercials and TV news, and basically almost like martial arts films, because basically the movie's kind of almost like a parody film. Well, even though it kind of doesn't feel like a parody film, it's actually more like an independent sketch comedy film, where it's kind of almost like Saturday Night Live or any other type of sketch comedy shows or something like that. And it does have a pretty good cast. Like I gotta say, Donald Sutherland, who is in this film, Donald Sutherland, I thought he did good. He did a good job in this film. Because this movie actually featured a bunch of actors that later became famous, movie stars in the future, after this movie came out. Yeah, and I gotta say, even though John Landis is not really a good person, I gotta say John Landis has directed a couple good movies like Coming to America, and this movie was actually one of his earliest films that he worked on. John Landis, this movie was actually one of his earliest work he's done. And I gotta say, John Landis actually does a pretty solid job directing this film. Like the way his direction works, it's actually handled pretty well for the Kentucky Fried Movie. And I know the initials, I kind of get the reference on why this movie's called the Kentucky Fried Movie. Because to me, whenever I think of the title for this film, I usually think of it as almost like a reference to KFC, like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, because because it's like my joke about what I thought of this movie. It's finger licking good. Yeah, that's like a KFC reference. But since this movie is called like Kentucky Fried Movie, the initials would be like KFN. Yeah, but yeah, that was just a joke that I made. This movie is finger licking good. Yeah, as a reference to KFC. But yeah, so the bonus features includes the original theatrical trailer, including like a photo gallery, like a little behind the scenes, on set home movies, and talent bios, like biographies. And the movie also includes an audio commentary by John Landis, including the writers and producer. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention Henry Gibson was also in this movie too. Like Henry Gibson from Wedding Crashers, and he was Wilbur in the original Charlotte's Web, the animated adaptation. And yeah, because this movie had a very good cast, and it's like, and there were some scenes that made me laugh. That there were some parts in some of the sketches that made me laugh, and and since this movie's R-rated, there's also like raunchy sketches. Like there are some parts in this film where they actually feature raunchy material, because there is like a handful of nudity that was featured in the Kentucky Fried Movie and some of the sketches, because you actually do see some girls' boobs that are actually shown on screen in terms of the raunchy parts that were in some of the sketches. But you know, I handled it very well, and of course, and I can handle stuff like that. But just in case, if your parents aren't around, if they're out somewhere and you're at home by yourself, then I'd say, and if you can handle like raunchy material, then I say this movie will probably be for you to recommend checking out. I would recommend checking out this movie if you haven't seen it. And yeah, it's like, yeah, and because I gotta say, this was a pretty good movie at the time of the late '70s. So like when this movie first came out in 1977, and I'm actually happy that I watched it, because now I feel good about it. Yep. And yeah, the chapter scene selections that are included in the DVD is basically just like, you know, the main titles, as well as, you know, the names of the sketches that were in this movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, and even this movie also had a reference to the Wizard of Oz. They actually referenced the Wizard of Oz during the middle of the film when it goes to the 1 hour mark. They actually referenced the Wizard of Oz, where it's like they poke fun of the ending to the Wizard of Oz, where it's like there's no place like home, and then, you know, like there's no place like home from the Wizard of Oz. And yeah, I enjoyed this movie for what it is, and it's like I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good, funny movie from John Landis. And yeah, and just like I said in my last media update video, John Landis directed the Michael Jackson music video, Michael Jackson's Thriller. He also directed that other werewolf film called An American Werewolf in London, which I have that movie on VHS, but I haven't seen it yet. But maybe I'll check it out at some point, maybe one of these days if I feel like it. Yeah. So overall, aside from all that, the Kentucky Fried Movie was a pretty good movie from 1977 from John Landis. And I'm going to give the Kentucky Fried Movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. And like I said, if you haven't watched it yet, then I say I recommend it. And if you can handle raunchy material, and just in case if some of you guys out there don't have any parents around at your house if you're home by yourself and your parents are out, then I say I recommend checking out this movie. I recommend it. And I almost forgot to mention, the humor itself is pretty funny too. And just in case if there's some of you guys out there that are not expecting like slapstick humor, I mean, there is a little bit of slapstick humor in this film, but not a whole lot. But nonetheless, the film is still enjoyable for what it is, and it's a good movie overall. So I recommend checking out if you haven't yet. So there you have it, guys. That's my movie review on the Kentucky Fried Movie. And there you have it, guys. That's going to be it for this movie review for tonight. So with that being said, thanks for watching as always. And if you're not subscribed yet, Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up as well. Make sure to like it. Make sure to like this video. And feel free to comment down below as well. Alright guys, with that being said, until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying goodbye everybody, and that's about it. Catch you later.